We are getting the inside scoop on the Knicks from our Knicks insider Frank Isola. Of course, covers the team on a day-in, day-out basis. Joins us on the phone. Plenty to talk about today. You had a lot of reporting on this as well, Frank. What is the latest with the Knicks shopping Carmelo Anthony?
Well, it sounds like they're basically calling every team that they think has good assets and also a team that Carmelo Anthony would consider being traded to. So it's a complicated deal whenever you're thinking about trading Carmelo, because ultimately he decides where he wants to go. But remember last week we talked about it. He said that he was not going to waive his no-trade clause. So it seems like Phil Jackson is just operating under the presumption that if I can get a deal, maybe I could convince him by February 23rd to waive his no-trade clause.
Well, where's the most likely, let's say he did waive it, where's the most likely landing spot? I mean, your reporting was that the Clippers would not be sending back one of their big three. As you mentioned, there's a technicality in the CBA that Blake Griffin can't actually be on the Knicks because of a rookie max extension. Where would he actually land? What's the best, most likely landing spot?
Yeah, and think about it, too. Chris Paul, they're not trading Chris Paul, obviously, and they're not trading DeAndre Jordan to the Knicks. So really the only player that you would think about would be Blake Griffin. But at this stage of the game, even if they could, they're not trading Blake Griffin for Carmelo Anthony. Blake Griffin is younger. He's a more explosive player. And as much as, Carmelo is still effective, he's not at the level that Blake Griffin is at right now. So, the Clippers are a possibility, but I think all these teams, including the Boston Celtics, I think they're all interested in Carmelo, but they're not just going to trade big-time assets to get him. I think Boston operates thinking that, LeBron is in the Eastern Conference. He's still going very well for a couple more years. So, do we trade all these great assets we have to try to go for it now? I don't think they'll do that. But if they can get Carmelo at a cheap price, which would mean not giving up the Nets' #1 pick, they're not doing that, right, then it's obviously something they would consider.
All right, you mentioned that he still has this no trade, and the Knicks are operating on the assumption he would waive it if the right situation presented itself. Melo, you think that he's talked often about how he wants to stay here. Do you think he would waive the no-trade clause if the right situation presented itself with a trade?
Well, think about it. It's becoming a big story, a big national story now, this whole situation with the Knicks. And even though I think we're all a bunch of hypocrites when it comes to Carmelo re-signing with the Knicks, because we kill LeBron and we kill Kevin Durant when they go to chase a championship. Yet when Carmelo re-signs with the Knicks, everyone treats it as, well, you dummy, what'd you come back here for? You should have gone to Chicago and tried to win a championship. So Carmelo, I think, felt like he was doing the right thing by coming back. Now the fact that this, that people are talking about a trade, maybe he's thinking, if I don't waive this, people might view it as I don't care about winning. If I don't want to go to the Clippers, if I don't want to go to the Celtics. So I actually think there's a little pressure on him now where, because Carmelo, he cares about a lot of things. Image is one of them, and I think he's worried about that, where if a deal was in place for the Clippers or for Boston and he said no to it, then people are going to look at him and say, wow, he really doesn't want to win.
Real quickly before we move on, is this all Phil Jackson just trying to get him to waive the no-trade? I mean, is that what's going on here? Phil's just trying to get all these trade scenarios together to anger Melo into waiving the no-trade?
Well, as all you guys in the studio know, if you go all the way back to Jeff Van Gundy and Ernie Grunfeld going at it for the media, and then you had Larry Brown, Isaiah Thomas, and Stephon Marbury, and they have Phil Jackson really going after Carmelo. Carmelo really doesn't go back at him. You know that Jim Dolan doesn't like that. So I don't know. Is Phil Jackson doing this to try to get under Carmelo's skin? Is it to try to get under Jim Dolan's skin? Is it try to get him to waive the no-trade clause? Maybe it's all of the above. But it just makes no sense why the president of a team would pick a public fight with your best player who, it's not like Carmelo is the one that went AWOL or Carmelo is whining about anything publicly. Carmelo has handled it very well, and he has all the right answers whenever we're constantly asking him about situations that Phil Jackson has created.
Real quickly before you go, one other Knicks note. Kristaps Porzingis, the struggles continue. What's going on with him?
Well, I think he's definitely hit the wall in the second year as well, just like he did in the first year. And I think it's probably a byproduct of losing. It's a byproduct that he's missed some time and probably practice time with that injury that he has had. We all love Kristaps Porzingis. We all think he's going to be good, but I think we're all expecting a little too much too soon from him. To be kind of a franchise player and be the guy, it just doesn't happen overnight. It's only his second season. He's still a young guy, but it's also eye-opening because if you do trade Carmelo, now when Kristaps Porzingis goes 3 for 11 in a game with 2 rebounds and fouls out, that becomes a much bigger deal because if, God forbid, Carmelo did that, we'd be looking to run him out of town.
Which, coincidentally, the Knicks appear to be
Exactly.
doing at this point. Frank, we appreciate the information. We'll speak to you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.